This is the Posting to WordPress webinar. This is a free webinar that we make available to nonprofits. Just any kind of little bit of housekeeping here. If anyone has any problems hearing me, any audio or video problems, just leave a note in the chat box or in the question box, and I will get that and try to adjust it on the fly. And we'll just kind of plug through the best we can. I don't think I've had too many audio or video problems yet, but sometimes you never know. We can put people on the moon, but we can't figure out presentations. So we'll just move along. Again, for the people who are on already for the first minute or two, I'm sorry to go back over this, but if you have any questions, put it into the question box. I will answer them as we go along. We will go in and out of the presentation, and then of course part of this will be a little bit of working live. I use the Chrome browser. You don't have to use that. You can use whatever browser you want. WordPress works on all of them. And I will show you a few different things as we go in and out of posting, some settings as well. So this is intended to be a complete guide so that you can know everything that you need to know about posting to WordPress. We will keep this presentation to an hour or less with a few minutes to do Q&A at the end. So that pretty much covers the housekeeping. If anyone has any questions before we get started, please throw it into the question box and we will get rolling. So you will see a little bit of animation here. This is a new template I'm trying out. So if anyone hates it, just let me know afterward. Okay, so just a quick bit of information about Orgspring. Some of the people on this webinar obviously know us already, or me in particular. So I'm sorry again for repeating this. But for those who don't know us, we were founded in early 2012. It's really just a small team. It was started by myself and another person. We were nonprofit consultants for some time, and we formalized it into a company called Orgspring. We help nonprofits with their mission. Basically, our mission is to help other nonprofits achieve their mission, and we try to do it online. In terms of some of the achievements that we're proud of, last year we helped just a little bit more than a dozen nonprofits launch new websites. Those nonprofits were able to raise a little bit more than $200,000 completely online, donation portals, online ask capital campaigns, things like that, which we helped tie in with Google and other search engines and running through their websites and donation portals. And it was a lot of fun. And then our partners. So our partners are really just three types of organizations: nonprofits. We work for government agencies like cities and towns and municipalities, and political candidates. So technically the last two are not necessarily nonprofits, but obviously they're for the general social good. So they fit into our mission since we were established as a nonprofit as well. So here's our team. It's actually growing, which is nice. It was started by 2 people, and this year we added 2 more, and we are adding 2 more people, interns actually, doing some design and some stock photography for us. So maybe the next time we do a presentation, you'll see their pretty little faces as well. So we operate Orgspring kind of like a collective. We bring together people who are wanting to work in the nonprofit space or are already working in the nonprofit space, who give their time to the nonprofit space, both paid and pro bono volunteer work, and we bring them together to work on a lot of projects together. So it's really a cool group, and we have a lot of fun. So, all right, to WordPress. So let me see if I can do a quick poll. It doesn't look like it's going to let me do a poll, so I'll just keep rolling. So what is WordPress? So WordPress is a website platform. It's a platform that allows you to create dynamic websites. It is also a blogging platform, something that allows you to add blog posts and articles. It is a CMS. That's a content management system. That means it allows you to manage different types of content like media, articles, posts, documents, things like that. It's a social network, or at least it can be a social network if it's set up the right way. It's also a nonprofit organization itself. The company that runs WordPress is, in fact, a nonprofit, and it is also open source, which means that the code is freely available for anybody who wants to take a look at it and change it for that matter. It's maintained by a few people, and it's very well documented. Developers are able to change the code and help other organizations in terms of making sure that WordPress works exactly the way they need it to. It is a very large community of support community. You may be familiar with things like Joomla or CK Editor or Basecamp or things like that. These are, I'm sorry, Basekit. These are blogging platforms, smaller communities. WordPress is a very, very large community. It's very easy to get support you need. It is also very easy to use, believe it or not. I always tell people if you can send an email, you can use WordPress, which I believe to be true. Some would argue with me. And it's very easy to maintain. Everything is contained within one administration panel. Just a quick note, WordPress currently powers nearly 1 in 6 of the top 1 million websites and blogs in the world. And that's a trend that seems to have continued over the last year or so. WordPress is powering nearly 1 in 6 of every new website as well. Those are the latest statistics. So you may have heard of Web 1.0 or Web 2.0, which is, I guess, what we are now, and WordPress. And we'll talk a little bit about how those two are different. So Web 1.0, you may remember static websites, basically websites that don't change. The information is really just a few pages. It's about us, maybe it's a service, a product, things like that. It basically just pushes information from the business out to the viewer. There's really no interaction at all. For the most part, you needed a developer. If you're going to do any kind of editing, you might remember things like Dreamweaver. If you did any kind of editing, it had to be done in an editor program like Dreamweaver, which means you needed a developer to do work for you, which means it costs a lot of money to have a website. WordPress is a little bit different. It is a dynamic blog, which means you can update content regularly, as often as you like, and you can have unlimited pages. So you can really write to your heart's content. You can also create dynamic content through plugins and things like that, which make your site more interactive. Facebook feeds, social network integration, forms where you collect information from your viewers, things like that. Basically, anyone can use it. They try to make it as easy as possible, the administration panel, so that anyone who knows, again, how to use email can use WordPress. And they make it easy enough so that you can get up and running in just a few minutes with your own WordPress site, whether you use the free one or a self-hosted WordPress website, and you could do it with no coding. So basically, this little note here says that Web 1.0 was the domain of web developers because you needed coding experience to put up a website. Some nonprofits, at least we get this all the time, when we do a website for a client, they have a site that hasn't been updated since 1999, that kind of thing, and it's been up there and they don't know how to change it. So that's all they know. Today with WordPress, you can change your site very easily without any code, which is great, and it makes websites a little bit more interactive and a little bit easier to use. So for example, you may remember something like Web 1.0. I have a picture here of Charlotte's Bodywork, or Charlotte Bodywork, sorry. To be honest, I'm not really sure what Charlotte Bodywork is, but I just clipped this and put it up for our presentation. So you could see here, it's only got 4 or 5 pages. And this Charlotte Bodywork looks like a lady who is a massage therapist, and she gives information about her and her credentials. And it's a pretty static page. You see some text overlapping the graphics. I'm sure this site worked for her for a period of time, but she probably didn't have any content changing, and she probably didn't have any other things like that working with her site. What we see here is really the new web. This is the Michael J. Fox Foundation website. It's a little video that's running, but it features dynamic content. It features really cool menus. It's got a slider. The graphics look great. You can see here some of the menus are really big, and there's a lot of different options that you could pick. It has a dynamic donate button. It has calendars and maps, and you can see here social media integration. They're putting in their Twitter and their Facebook feeds. You can link over to different areas. You can you'll see in the video pop up here. Um, you can actually put up calendar events that people can register for. There's a lot of interesting things that you can do with uh, with the Web 2.0, say, or a WordPress website. Funny enough, after I did this, um, Michael J. Fox isn't actually a WordPress powered website, so it seems kind of dumb that I would put it in here. But the reason I did is we actually just created a WordPress powered website for a client that mirrored the Michael J. Fox Foundation. So the exact functionality you see here can be done with WordPress very easily, actually, without a lot of custom work at all. So um, this is just an example of what you get with the new web. So a lot of people may have heard of the term a blog. So I'm just going to take a quick break, answer some questions. David is asking, will a copy of this be available? Yes, we'll make a copy of it available via video form and audio, and you will also get the presentation slides, which, as you can tell, probably won't be that helpful because we are mixing in a little bit of video and we will be doing some live work on the web. Don't see Charlotte. Peg, were you able to see the Charlotte bodywork once that popped up? If not, um, okay, maybe can you guys see a, oh, here. Are you able to see this screen that says, what's a blog? Can everyone see that? Okay, great. All right, so we're in the same spot now. So you may have heard of the term blog and where it comes from. So basically, it bridges the old style of storytelling with new technology. So it comes from the terms web, which obviously is web or the internet, and log, which is a journal of sorts, which you would typically have on paper. And it combines those to make the word blog, web and log blog. Now, WordPress was not the first blogging platform, but like iPod not being the first MP3 player, WordPress is the best and the most popular blogging platform now. So it is used by more people than other blogging platforms, and you will see why if you haven't used it. So basically, a blog is creation or categorization of posts. You can have articles, you can have news items, you can have events. All of these things are dynamic, updated pieces of content that go onto your site on a periodic basis. So um, I want to talk just a little bit about some of the blog benefits, and then we're going to get into doing the actual posting inside of WordPress, changing your settings, optimizing settings for posting, things like that. And the reason I'm going through these benefits is actually it may have an effect on how you set up your site, or at least understanding how it's working. So some of the benefits to blogging, especially if you're a nonprofit, it makes you an authority in your field. So if you're blogging about health related matters, I'll give you an example. We did a website for an organization called Walk for Cure, which is related to scleroderma, which is an incurable disease. And before we started with them, they had a static website. And we put up a WordPress powered website that had 50 or 60 different videos that they had posted over the course of a couple months. And they had added maybe 30 or 40 articles that related to those videos and spoke to their audience. Within 60 days, they went from complete obscurity to the front page of Google, up along with Komen for the Cure, who does walkathons, and Juvenile Diabetes, who does walkathons. And this particular Walk for Cure organization was a walkathon organization related to scleroderma. So just by posting on a daily or weekly basis, they were able to get to the front page of Google for that huge walkathon audience. So posting new content makes you an authority in your field. It will increase your online traffic. With online traffic increases come an increased amount of engagement with your supporters and your advocates. And then If you use that the right way by implementing newsletters and by doing online donation campaigns, your income will increase as your traffic and your support engagement increases. So this is the result we saw last year with most of the organizations that we worked with, and we're seeing it again this year with the organizations we're doing marketing for through their websites as well. So it gives you a little understanding of the benefits of a blog. Now, how a blog works, we'll go through this very quickly. Basically, every time you create a new blog post, it creates a new URL under your site. So if you're johnsmithorganization.com and you post every new article has its own address. And this is important because that address is added to your sitemap. It makes your site bigger and more complex. Basically, every time WordPress adds a page or a post, it updates the search engines, Google, Yahoo, Bing, all of them. Your site is then indexed by those search engines who then analyze your content and pull context like keywords and things like that. And then it categorizes your site on the web, and that shows up in search results. So when you search for your organization or a keyword related to your organization, the more posts out there that relate to your keyword, the higher your site will rank in the search engines. So you are ranked in order of authority, basically. The more you continue posting, the more your authority increases, the more your search engine rankings improve. So, this is why blogs are such powerful platforms for nonprofits. Even if you are a very static nonprofit, it's great to be able to post on WordPress because you can increase your search engine results. This is super important if you are a small or a regional nonprofit where you have local people searching for or potentially searching for your services. You don't want them to find other international or national organizations when they should be finding your local organization as the first page of Google results. The numbers are staggering. I don't have a survey to show you right here, but the numbers are something like 95% of all search traffic goes to the first page of Google. That means less than 5% of people who search Google actually continue on to the second page. So it's important to have a blog associated with your nonprofit. So just a quick little bit about the posting process. So posting in WordPress is really a four-step process. You're going to write content. You're going to create that post in the back-end administration panel of WordPress. You're going to add media, if any at all, like images, audio, videos, things like that. And then you're going to publish that post, and it's going to go live on your website. So it's really just a four-step process. Although out of those four things, technically only three are required. You could literally publish a post in 2 or 3 clicks. You add a title, you add some content, it could be all text, and you click publish. That is it. That's how easy it is to update WordPress. So, the other beauty about WordPress is it's very easy to make your site unique. It doesn't just have to be a boring old website. You can have different types of websites at a very low cost and in a lot of cases free. You could have a site that looks like this. You could have a site that's a little bit more graphic. Um, you can have sliders and things like that that work in and out of your site. So there are a lot of different themes that you can put into play on your website. So uh, at this point, I'm going to take a quick break from the presentation. I'm going to pull up a web browser. I'm going to show you the ins and outs of WordPress and posting and settings and things like that. So if anyone has any questions now, you might want to ask them before we jump into the live part of this, so to say. Just ask them through the questions panel. David's asking if he has time for a bathroom break. If you could make it very quick, David, we're going to keep rolling. Um, okay, so is everyone familiar with WordPress? Does everyone know how to get into the WordPress administration panel? If you don't, put it in the question box and I'll show you how to log in real quick. But if everyone is on this post, you should have some familiarity with WordPress. We're in the dashboard. You log into your WordPress website, and then you're put directly into. Okay, great. So most everyone has just a starter learning. Okay, great. So Once you log in, you're basically presented with your dashboard. And this gives you a quick snippet of what's going on with your website. So this big right now box tells you that you currently have 6 posts, you have 13 pages, categorized over 3 categories, there are so many comments, things like that. It's a quick snippet of what's going on with your site. What we're concerned about is existing in 2 areas. So everything that has to do with posts is in 2 areas of your site. Right here, posts, and you have a couple options with your posts. And here is the list of posts we have. And in your settings. So some of your settings will control how your page looks. So I have most of these boxes open, but I'm just going to show you. So this is my site. It's just a demo site I set up for this. It's a standard 2011 theme that we have in place. It lists the name of the website. It has some of the pages as a menu. It has some archives here, and then it lists your posts. So here are your full posts, and they're listed in order, and they go down the block. Pretty simple. This is a standard blog format that most everyone is probably familiar with. So every time you add a new post, that new post comes in up here. So there are a few things that I like to do in terms of settings before I get to the posts. So I'm going to walk you through those very quickly. So in the settings panel, you'll see here, there are general settings, which is where you start out, and there's a whole bunch of different settings, and this could change depending on the plugins that you have. For example, I have an email capture plugin. If you don't have that, you probably won't see this in your panel. I have a page navigation plugin. You won't see that either. And then I have a sharing plugin through Jetpack, which pops up some extra sharing options. So, don't think that something's wrong with your WordPress installation if you don't see all of these. Sometimes as you add more plugins, you get additional things that pop up in your settings. But you will see general settings, and this is where the general settings are for your site. So your site title is controlled by this, your tagline is controlled by that. Some themes use it, some themes don't. You'll see here the site title. So I'm just going to pull this over just so we can flip back and forth quickly. The site title is there, and the subtitle is there. So for example, if we change this, online campaigns for you, and then we save those changes, and then we pop over to the blog and we refresh it, you'll see that changes there. So no coding needed. This would have been a nightmare to do in Dreamweaver a couple years ago. Very easily done with WordPress. You can also set things like your location, your date and time, the date format. So for example, I have my date format set to March 15th, 2013, which you will see on these posts here, posted on March 1, 2013 by Craig Grella. If I were to change that date format would change here too. And you can change your format based on where you are. European format might be a little bit different. You could do custom formats. You could change the time format. Again, you could customize that. So a lot of different ways to customize the way some of that date information shows up as well. So I like to mess around with the general settings. Now, the writing settings are the next step, and this handles how you write your blog post. So for example, we're going to take a look. We're in the posts area here, and we're just going to look at a general post here. So I'm going to click edit, and that's how we get to edit this post. So we have our title box, we have our post editor, and we have some publishing options over here. So back to the settings. You'll see here, basically, I'm going to pop this up on 2 screens. We might be able to do this a little bit better way. You'll see this in just a moment. Okay, I have the settings panel here on the left, and I have actually the post editor here on the right. Can everyone see that? I'm doing a little split screen. Okay, here we go. So this is as you can see, the writing settings. So this controls, your writing settings controls how your post editor shows up. The post editor is the editing box, the editing page that controls how you create your posts in WordPress. We have a few different things here. If you have multiple categories, this default post category will select the category for your post. So for example, here's the category, And if you don't select any category in a new post, it will check off this category that you tell it to. So for example, if most of your posts are about press releases, you might want to select default post category press release. That way you never have to worry about setting the category when you actually publish your post. You can have different format posts too, and you could set that as well. This setting up here, convert emoticons, are things like if you post a little squiggly like this, things like this. Can you see that typing? I'm highlighting it now. That will actually convert itself to an emoticon graphic, like a smiley face. If you don't like that, you can turn that off, and you would do that by unchecking this box, and that will make sure that that functionality doesn't happen. That's the most basic settings that you can do from the uh, writing standpoint from your settings panel. So we'll continue to the next one, which is reading. And this controls how people read your posts. So for example, you can choose what your front page displays. So you can pick a static page, and this is common in templatized or more complex themes, or you can just have your front page display all the blog posts. That's another thing that you can do. You can tell your blog page to show a number of posts. For example, we want our blog page to show no more than 5 posts. That's what we have set here. And you'll see if we look at that, you'll see it's going to show 5 posts. Here's in the news is 1, our first stop is 2, signing the document is 3, new headshots is 4, the campaign trail is 5, and then we see some pagination, which pushes us to older posts. And then we have a few more posts here. Now this number can change. If you want to have just 1 post on every page, you can literally change this down to 1, click Save Changes, and we'll just go back to our blog page, and you'll see that we only have 1 post on every page in the news again. And then you click on older posts, it changes pages. You'll see pagination here. Only 1 post per page. So through the settings, you can change how many posts show up per page. You can also crank this number up to 100 to make sure that it shows almost all your pages on your home page. You can also control your syndication or your feeds. So for example, if you use RSS feed readers and you make that available for your users, you can control whether your posts show up as full text or just a summary. Now, a summary is going to cap it to maybe the first 100 words or the first 50 words, or if it takes all of your text in that article and pops it into the RSS feed. There's no good or bad or right or wrong, it's just preference. You also have a section here, search engine visibility. You can click on this button to discourage search engines from indexing your site. Basically, it tries to make your WordPress website invisible for search engines. This is a popular thing to click if your site is live, but you're not ready for it to be live yet. For example, if you're doing some work, but you don't want people to see things, or you don't really want the public to know about it, and you're hoping that Google doesn't index it. Now, Google doesn't have to pay attention to that. It's just a request, but it works pretty well. You'll find that if you do select that, your site won't show up in most search engines. Again, it's not guaranteed, but it does work pretty well. Obviously, if you want your site to show up in search engines, you want to make sure that that box is not selected. And that's pretty basic in terms of your reading settings. Finally, we'll talk about discussion settings here. Now, discussion settings control your comments. So we'll take a look at a comment. I'm going to move this over here. So if you look at any particular blog post, you have the ability to leave a reply, which is a comment. So your discussion settings in WordPress settings area controls how people leave replies. So you'll notice here, they can leave a comment, but before they do, they have to come here and, for example, just click leave a comment, and then they can click post it. There's nothing required of them to post this comment. You'll see that gets added right there as a comment, done. So you might want to eliminate spam. you might not want to let people post that easily on your website. And you would change that by doing your discussion settings in the settings area. For example, you can require that all comment authors must fill out their name and email. And the reason why I didn't do it is because I'm logged in. But if somebody wasn't logged in before they were able to post, they would have to log their name and their email before they could actually post. Right away, that's going to cut down on the amount of spam that you will receive on your site. You have something here called allow link notifications from other blogs, pingbacks, and trackbacks. Basically, what that means is if somebody has a WordPress powered website and they link to your site anywhere on your site, it will let your site know in the form of a comment on your general site. It'll say, hey, somebody else is linking to you. And then you have a few other settings here. For example, you can actually require people be registered to your site for them to log in. This is a great way to increase engagement and actually take email addresses for potential marketing. You can also close your comments. So say, for example, you have a very active blog and you get thousands of comments. You might want to close those comments after a certain period of time, or not let people comment on articles that are really old just because you don't want to moderate them after a certain period of time. Then you can nest comments here. So a nested comment looks something like this. What it does is it pops the comment underneath each other. So you'll see I replied to this comment, so it shows up under that comment as opposed to under a comment of its own. If you don't like the way that looks, you could just uncheck nested comments. Some sites have thousands, literally thousands of comments on any one given post, and that takes up so much space on your site. You can click this box here and you can break that into a manageable level. And then when you hit more comments, you go on to the next page. It's a little bit easier to read. You could also have the website email you anytime somebody posts a comment. So you can also set this to have the comment be approved. That means if somebody submits a comment, it doesn't show up on your site. And for people who like more private blogs or websites, this is important because you might not want just any Yahoo commenting on your site. When somebody submits a comment, it comes into your administration panel and you have the chance to approve it or deny it or spam it. And only after you, as the administrator, approves it, will it show up on your site. So these are a few things that you could do in relation to comments. Any questions? Any questions up to this point? I'm going to click on permalinks, which is another. Oh, thanks, Peg. Peg just said this is really helpful. I hope this does help everyone out. And we're actually not even in the nitty gritty yet. I'm just going through the settings, but it helps to understand some of this stuff first. So that's why we do it. Right now, I'm in what's called permalink settings. And this is how your links are controlled. By default, WordPress is really a database. That's what it is. Every one of your posts and pages is a new element. For example, you'll see this thing here, question mark P equals 1, 2, 3. Really, all these posts are just numbers. Every new post is a new number. So the last post was number 100. This post is 101. The next is 102. But that's ugly. You don't want to give somebody a link that says orgspring.com / question mark P equals 199. Nobody knows what that means. And it's not going to be helpful for search engine optimization. You can actually put a day and name in. So you could say, okay, well, I'd like people to search via the day and name for my posts. Again, in my opinion, not very helpful either. Then you could have the month and name, where you could have the month it was published and then the name of the post. That's a little bit easier. I could see the name of the post. For example, this post was called Our First Stop. So this would be onlinecampaign.com / the date and then Our First Stop. What I like to use is something called post name. It removes all this other garbage code and just puts the name of the post after your website, very simply. So for example, if I expand this page out, you'll be able to see the header. You'll see here that this is online campaign / Our First Stop. So this is just a comment, but we'll just get rid of that. So it's a little bit easier to understand how to reach this actual post. And this is easier to share. So if we wanted to select this and say share it through Twitter, we're actually, or Facebook, we're sharing this post, not some random line of code that says question mark P equals 199. So The reason I mention this is actually one of the first settings I change whenever I do a new website. I come straight into WordPress settings and I go down to permalinks and I make sure that post name is selected and then I save those changes. That will give you these pretty URLs. That's what some people call them, pretty URL or pretty permalink. It's one of the best things that you could do for your website in terms of people being able to find your posts. For example, let's say we had a post called Our First Stop. If you were to search for John Smith Foundation, Our First Stop, if you had the default selected, it doesn't know that this post is called Our First Stop. To them, to WordPress, this post is just P123. So it might be hard for people to search for your post and find it. But with this selected, it knows the URL has Our First Stop in it. So sometimes you could even search on a domain without getting the right domain or without getting the domain correct or the post name correct. Sometimes you can get real close and it'll actually bring you where you need to go. So again, it's one of the first things that I do is to select that. So we've covered most of the settings for posting, or the settings that will help you post. Now let's jump into actual posting itself. So I'm going to maximize the screen again. Let's just get rid of these. And what you see here is the full post view. So we're in the post area. Is everyone following me so far? Am I going too fast? Is this an okay speed? Just if one or two would pop yes into the question box, that would be helpful. Just want to make sure I'm not going too fast for everyone. Okay, great, thank you. So when you click on posts, you have a few options: all posts, add a new post, post categories, post tags, and I'll explain what they are. But this is your post list, and you can sort them in different ways. You can actually click on most of these headings. For example, you could click on title, and it's going to sort them alphabetically. You can come over here and click on date, and that will sort based on date, most recent to oldest, that kind of thing. So it'll tell you who the author is. And if you click on that, it takes you to the profile for that author. And it'll tell you the category or categories, if any, that post belongs to. It'll also tell you if that post is tagged, and if it is, what the tag is. And then you have some options up here. This tells you that we have 6 posts, 6 of them have been published, and 1 of them is in the trash. If we wanted to, we can click on that and then delete that post. And then you could do different things. So for example, if we selected all these, we can come into the bulk actions and we can edit all of these very quickly. So we can highlight all of them, click edit, and this will bring us to an overall editing screen. We'll hit apply, and it actually allows us to do quick editing on this post, on all these posts selected. So for example, let's say we wanted to add tags to all of these. We're going to add a tag of, let's just call this campaign trail. This is a political website. And let's update that. And you'll notice that it will update all of our posts. It's taking its time. Once it's done, all of those tags will show up here. So this is a way to change many of your posts at one time without having to go into each individual post and change it by hand. This could be very handy, say, if you're moving a lot of posts from one category to another, or if you want to tag a certain post a certain way or many posts a certain way. And then you could also select individual ones just to edit. You actually don't need to select it. When you hover over the post, it will give you options: edit, quick edit, trash, and view. So for example, we can click edit, and that will bring us to the full post editor, where we can manipulate this post. I'm going to go back to the post section. If you hover over the post, you can do a quick edit, where it just pops up an edit box, almost like we saw, except this isn't editing all of them anymore. It's just editing the one post. So we could change anything we want about this post. We could change the title, the slug, which is the URL. We could change the date it was published. If it's a multi-author blog, we can change who published it or who the author of that was. We can choose to make it a private or password protected post. We could change its format. And then you just click update and you could change that. So for example, what we'll do is we'll cancel out of this. We'll show you how easy it is to do this. I'm going to view this post. So this is just a standard post. We're looking at this post in the news again, just a standard article. And if we wanted to do a quick change in the news again, I'm going to do a quick edit. We're going to change it from a standard. We're going to change it to a quote. And we're going to click update. We're going to come to the post and we're going to refresh it. And you'll see, well, actually nothing changed much with that. There's too much text there. We'll save it as an aside. And you could see, again, it's not changing this post. These are different formats. These different formats here are different. WordPress gives you the ability to do different formats for your post. This particular theme, the 2011 theme, this post has a lot of text, so you're not seeing different changes. But if we did a post with just one or two sentences, it will put it in a quote format and show up as a quote. But we can take a look at it in the full blog view. And you'll see it changes a little bit. It takes away the full-blown title here and puts it aside. Again, we could change this to a quote, update that, refresh it. So it's a little different way of changing the format, and different themes that you use will have the ability to give you different types of post formatting. Okay. Oh, David, sorry you have to go. Thank you for the comment. I'll touch base after the webinar. Thank you. So we'll continue on with editing here. So you can also filter in your post editor. You can also filter using these. So for example, if we only wanted to see posts that were made in March, we can click this and it will filter our, click filter, and it'll filter out only the things made in March. So 2 out of the 6 were made in March. And we could also filter by category. For example, if we only wanted to see posts that were tagged with issues, we can filter based on issues, and you'll see there's only one of them. So a lot of different ways to do this, and we haven't even gotten into the post itself. This here is your comment indicator telling us that this post has 4 comments. So if we were to click this, it's actually going to take us to the comments area for the post signing the document. These are all the comments. You can actually edit a comment. So for example, we're going to view this signing the documents post. I'm going to search for signing the documents. No, it's saying that nothing's found. Oh, I spelled it wrong. Okay, so it finds our signing the document post. And if we look at this post, you'll see the different comments down here. These are 4 comments. One of them is threaded. If we wanted to get rid of this, say, hey, this test, that's a spam comment. Let's get rid of that. We would come look at the comment for this document, test. We'd say, hey, that's spam. It's going to automatically get rid of it. Then we just refresh the page. That comment is gone. So very easy to edit and change the comments that show up on your site too. Now, there are some organizations that want to keep certain information private, and they may not want certain people posting on their websites. A Christian organization may or may not want a devil worshiper posting on their site. So if somebody spammed it, or even if it was a comment that was valid that they just don't want on that site, they can remove it easily through the comments area. So we're going to come back to posts. Is everyone following so far? Any questions as we move along? Any questions? Just add them into the question area. So we're back in the post area. We see all of our posts here again. Now we're going to actually dive into one of these posts, or, let's just start by creating a new one. We're just going to do it from scratch. So you create a new post, And before I told you that you need 3 types of posts. Now, before I do this, I'm actually going to go back and change one of my settings. I'm sorry, because I want to have more than one post show up. Before we change it so that only one post showed up per page, I'm going to change that back to 5, and you'll see why in a moment. So if we look at our blog, and this is where all our posts are in the news again, our first stop, signing the document, the most recent is up at the top. I told you before in the presentation slides that there's only 3 pieces required to make a post: the title, the content, and publish. So you'll see here, this is a new post. Here's some content and publish. That is it. This post is now live, and once it is published, it will tell you. Up here, we'll get a little status. I'm not sure why this is taking so long, but you'll see here, once it is posted, it gives you a permalink. Here is the actual link to this post, and you can view that post, which we will do. This opens up this post directly as a single post, so it takes us directly to that post. Here's the post title, here's the content, done. If we refresh our blog, you'll see here in the news again was the latest one, but we just added this is a new post. As soon as we refresh it, it shows right up on top. It is that easy to create a post in WordPress. It takes literally less than a minute, and you can have a new post up there. Now, arguably, a post that short isn't going to be helpful for anybody. It's more like a status update. But if you are using the 2011 theme, which is here, that's what this status update is for. You click status in the format, you hit update, and it makes this more of a status update look rather than make it look like the rest of the post. If you were going to do a short post that short, which I don't recommend, you would pick something like a status update. So it shows you a little bit differently. Takes away the title, just says, hey, it's a status update. Here's some content. It puts your picture next to it, and that's that. So we're going to change this back to a standard post, and we're going to come in and we're going to do some more editing. So once you have your post up, you've got your slam dunk perfect title, you're coming in here. This is what's called the post editor, and you'll see some things here. If you haven't used this before, you may just see this. You may not see this bottom row of content. This little thing here that looks like a keyboard is what's called the kitchen sink. If you just hover over it, it says show or hide the kitchen sink. And this gives you the rest of the icons that you can use to format. Now, it's not as robust as, say, Microsoft Word or Mac Pages, but you do have a few options for the formatting of your post. You can change paragraph styles. For example, I'm just going to add the same content and be amazingly redundant. And we'll add that. We'll add some more here. Excuse me. Pretty easy. If we wanted to give this a heading, we can put that in there. We could choose one of our headings like that. We wanted to give it another heading, say, we can choose this one, which is a little bit smaller, and that will format it differently. Or let's make this 2. And then we could even throw in list content or unordered list, just standard bullets. And then rather than publishing again, since this is already published, it tells us right here it's public and it has been published, we would click update. And that's going to update this post for us. So it was a status update. It'll switch back to a regular post, and you could see the changes we made are live again. Heading 1, heading 2 with our lists. There's a lot of other stuff you can do. If you are comfortable posting in WordPress only, and sometimes I do that, a lot of times I create my content outside in something like Word, or I even use a thing called Byword, which is a Markdown editor. It doesn't have any formatting. But if you compose your stuff in Word, for example, you would use this little box here. It's a clipboard with a W on it. and I'll show you why. Sometimes when you post in Word, when you write in Word and you post in WordPress, Microsoft Word, inputs certain characters that are not standard web characters, and WordPress actually handles it correctly, although the formatting is off. It's not a flaw of WordPress or Word, it's just they're two different systems. So to convert it to usable on the web, some of those characters are sometimes formatted incorrectly, and you might see some funky things going on. And even though you're changing it here in your post editor, you might notice that it doesn't actually change when it's live. In those examples, you need to come over here, and this is what's called your text editor. And this is actually a code editor for your posts. And this is a little bit more advanced, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, but if you know any HTML, this is where it's done. Now I'm going to switch back and forth. You'll see here, this is a heading, and this is a list item. That looks like this. There's a heading. It's an H2 tag. That's HTML code. OL is an ordered list. LI is a list item, and you see the different list items. So by changing this in this HTML, you could change the way your site looks. The reason why I show you this is oftentimes when you paste from Word into WordPress, it will paste unnecessary code into your document. And when you publish it, it doesn't publish correctly. It's very frustrating. People don't understand why. That's why. So what WordPress did was it understood that a lot of people were using WordPress to publish. So what they did was they have this little box where you can paste from Word. So if you are pasting from Word, you come here, and it'll open up this little box, and you can make the box bigger if you want. You can move it around, and you could paste your content in. So let's just assume that this was all pasted from Word. You could even paste a whole document there. And then you'll click Insert. And that will insert your content without any of the Word characters. That way it publishes clean on your site. You can also do it from a plain text. So if you're using a plain text editor or text edit on your computer, you would use that to post rather than just flat out posting it into this visual editor here. Now, some of these other tools are I think, pretty obvious, but at the sake of going over it, we'll do this here. B is for bold, and that bolds your content. I is for italic. The line is not actually a spell check, it's strike through. And again, if you hover over any of these, it'll tell you exactly what it is. You click them again, and it'll undo it. If you highlight and you hit any of these, that will turn it into a list item. You could also put it into quotes. So this is a block quote. For example, we'll turn this off, and I'll just show you what it looks like here. This is how you can do testimonials. Click that quote, and you'll see it has different formatting. It indents and changes the text. I'm going to update that so you can see what it looks like on the front end. We'll refresh the page, and here's how it does a block quote. Pretty much the way it looks like right here. You could change the way other content shows up, formatting. You could center it. You could right justify it. We could even turn this whole thing into a link. For example, you click on that link box, type in where you want the link to go and the title of the link, tell it to open up in a new tab. Click Add Link, and it turns it into your link color. Update. We'll refresh that on the front end. Excuse me. We'll see the link show up, and that's how you add a link into your content. Click the link, it takes us where we told it to go, albeit slowly. So just a few of the different things we can do with the editor. If you want to break that link, you can highlight it. It will tell you that it is linked. You click break a link, and it takes the link off of that content. If you wanted to spell check your document, you can click the ABC with the check button, and then that will proofread it for you. It tells us no writing errors were found, but for the sake of showing you how this works, we're going to spell something wrong, and we'll run the spell check again. And when it finds misspelled words, just like your normal editor, it will highlight them with red. You click on it once, and it'll give you a spelling suggestion. And there you go. Beth is asking a question. Do live links always change color when active? How can we control the color? Okay, good question. So um, there are several ways to control the color of your links. Um, uh, it's a theme-based thing. So depending on the theme you have, that might control the color of your links. You can do it with some custom CSS code. You can also do it with the editor right here, and I'll show you. So for example, if you go ahead here and click a link, and this is actually a good question, Beth, because it leads into something else I wanted to show you. You don't have to actually know the link that you want, or let's say you want to link to some other place in your site. You can do that by clicking link to existing content. So just to show you again how I got in there, let's just say we want to do a couple words, not the whole paragraph. Click on the link. We click this little down arrow here, link to existing content. This will pull up all of the content on your site. So for example, we want to link over to another page. Let's link to our calendar. So we are going to click that. It automatically puts the link in for us. It adds the title. And we're going to click add link. So you'll see here that it's blue. Blue happens to be the normal link color for this theme. Some themes have different colors. Now you can try to change this with your format editor right here. For example, you can come here and click orange and make that orange content right there. And then we're going to hit update. Now, for most basic themes, that's all you need to do to change the color of your text. But some themes have what's called CSS, which is styling that might override that. So here you see that it does show up as orange, but we still have the blue underline. That's a thematic thing that's changed at the theme level. We would have to change some code, Beth, to make that work. There are two ways to do that, the hard way and the easy way. Some WordPress themes make CSS changes available to you. You have to know CSS to be able to make that work. That's a little bit above and beyond what we're doing here. But most theme editors, most post editors will allow you to change the color of your text just by using this A with the gray bar underneath it. And that will usually be more than what you need to change the color. Answer the question? Okay, great. So another question was, how do you add the picture at the top of your blog page? Can you put pictures within individual posts? Absolutely. So again, this is a thematic thing, and I'll explain at the end. I'm going to show you how this is handled with different themes and how easy it is to make your site unique just by changing a theme. So for example, we've been looking at posts with just straight content, right? No images. So if we look at this post here, we're going to go to the home page. I set my home page to be static, so you're not going to see any posts on the home page. You just see a blank home page. This theme takes random images from an image file and rotates them in and out. And then when you're on an individual post, you'll notice that this image will change. So this theme is automatically set to change images when you're on different pages. And if this particular page or post itself has a featured image, that will be put up here. So for example, this is a new post, which we're working in. If I were to come down here and add a featured image, this is a featured image in relation to this post. So I'm going to go to, this pops up the media library. This is where we have all of the images related to this website. And I'm going to choose this office here. And you'll show, once that gets added, the featured image is added to the post, and we will update it. Now, the featured image is used in different ways on different themes. One theme might add the featured image into the post. One theme might put it on top of the post. One might put it below. One might not use it at all. But for example, here in the 2011 theme, it takes the featured image and puts it, actually it's not putting it into our header. Let me just refresh this in the single view. This particular one is not doing anything with the featured image. So if you wanted to, I'm just going to change themes very quickly. I'm going to show you this again at the end of the webinar, but different themes do things different ways. For example, I'm going to activate this campaign theme that I like. And this is actually going to change how our whole site looks. Just by changing a theme, you'll see this post even though we're looking at the post itself, doesn't have an image in the post. The image is down here in the featured image. So we want to associate this one image with this post. And this theme does that by adding a giant, beautiful image on top of the post. So you'll see this is a different post format. It takes the date, the comments, the author, and the category, puts them here on the left side along with some sharing buttons. And that looks different than the last theme that we had in place, 2011. You'll also notice that your overall blog looks different. It's not just a listing of posts. It actually uses the featured image on top of your post as well. This one actually has a video as the featured image. So we can play a video right here. Turn this down. This is the famous "I'm not a crook" speech, but you can actually look at a video above your post content without actually going into that post. So a lot of different ways to change the way your site looks just by changing a theme. This is actually a premium theme that I got. I think it cost maybe $20 or $30, but just for that small amount of money, you could change drastically the way your site looks. So we'll keep it active on this one. Any other questions? There's one more. Are there themes that you recommend for novice bloggers? It all depends on what you want to do, Peg. There are different themes. For example, this theme is related to politics. So it lets you do pages for the issues. It lets you do video. It lets you do news feed. It lets you do events. It lets you show off your latest posts. It lets you sign up for a campaign, make a donation. So I would say less so for novice, more so for the function you're looking for. So based on the type of functionality you want on your site, that will drive the type of theme that you use. The cleanest themes, in my opinion, are always themes like 2011 or 2012. This is the actual theme that comes stock with WordPress. It's just a very clean looking theme. These are great for personal bloggers. It just lists your posts. That's it. Sometimes they will use, see again here, this is actually using your featured image and then your post below it. So a theme like 2012 is great, or 2011 is great if you're a standard blogger, because it lets you blog without letting all that other garbage and graphics get in the way. If you're more of an informational nonprofit, you might like a theme like this. The name of the theme that was up there was Campaign, actually. I will post something. If you go to themeforest.net, that's a great place to get themes, and they're relatively cheap. They range from $50 to $100 or so. Some of them require more work to get to look like what we put up there. That theme was slightly customized, not much, but slightly. So you can go to ThemeForest and find a lot of themes there. I highly recommend them. Okay, so back to the post editing. We'll try to get this done in the next 15 minutes or so. You can change and categorize your posts using these categories down here. So for example, let's take this off of uncategorized. We're going to select general and issues, and we can even add a new one down here by adding new and doing that, and clicking add new category, and it's going to select it for us. We can update that, and we'll look at that right here. It tells us this theme actually doesn't show the category. Oh, I'm sorry, right here on the bottom. Here are the category listings. It's in campaign trail, general issues. Here's the date. Here's the person who wrote it. And this is where you can use these. For example, this is a category. I can click on issues on the front end of the site and see all of the category archives for issues. And I think there were 2 posts. There's one of them. There's the second one, signing the document. So we can look, you'll see here, the URL changes, category issues. You could also just change that up here, category campaign trail, and you'll see probably just one post in the campaign trail since it's only one that we did. You could click on the name of the author, and that will bring you to an author archive and show you all the posts that I wrote. So if you have a multi-author blog, you can click on the different author names and it'll show you all the posts written by that particular author. So go back to the post editor. Categories, we also have tags. And you could add tags. Categories are what's called hierarchical, which means they relate to each other. Tags are completely unrelated. So for example, we can add a new category here, and we're going to call this one foreign nations, and we're actually going to give it a campaign trail. And you'll see foreign nation relates to campaign trail. Tags are different. They're non-hierarchical. They don't have a categorical structure, so we can name them anything. We could do a whole list here, and we could say, it's already listed campaign trail, so we can just use something else. Usually what I like to do for categories is I like to use one category for each post, and I like to tag a post with relevant items related to the content itself. Now, we don't have great content here, but you would make this contextual. For example, let's say I was talking about Bill Clinton. I might put a tag Bill Clinton in here. Let's say I was talking about gun violence. I might type gun violence as a tag and separate them with commas. And then click add, and it's going to add all of those tags so that when we update the post again, we will be able to see the tags show up. Down at the bottom, which is where this theme has the tags. Where are the tags? Oh, we're in the author archive. Sorry, I'm just going to click on this post. The tags are shown at the post level. So this is the actual post, and this entry was posted in Campaign Trail Foreign Nation. Those are the category I chose, and tagged Bill Clinton, campaign, gun. So just like we can click on a category archive, we can also click on a tag archive. So if there were more posts tagged with, say, gun violence, we could pull up all the posts that relate to gun violence. So I use categories to put my posts into a more categorical structure, almost like a file cabinet, and I use tags to explain what's inside the posts. That's a great way to categorize posts. Maida, you're asking if you could use your own picture, for example, your own nonprofit logo. Do you mean inside each post or up here as an icon? The answer to your question is yes. How you do it is different. Different themes will allow you to do it different ways. For example, I'll show you very quickly. I'm going to go back to appearance. I'm going to change theme. I'm going to go back to the campaign theme. So you'll see here's a logo, and ostensibly this would be your nonprofit's logo. And that's managed with theme options. So some themes have options panels which allow you to do different things. This theme, for example, allows you to put a different logo in there. So if we wanted to upload a different logo, we would upload it here, and we would have a choice to input different logos. Let's look through our media library, or you could upload one right from your computer. And you would just select that like this. We're going to show this. We're going to use this image. And we're going to save that. And we'll refresh the page. And you'll see the logo has changed. Excuse me. Did that answer your question, Maida? So that's the way to do that. So let's get back to the posting of this. So we've covered categories, publishing, tags, featured image. And again, depending on the type of theme you have, you might be able to do different things. Like for example, this theme actually lets us put a YouTube video or a Vimeo video directly into the post. That's how you were seeing that Nixon video on the post. Different themes will allow different things to be done. Now you can come here and you could change the status of these posts. For example, let's say you publish something and you say, no, I don't want it published anymore. You can come here and set it back to draft. Click OK, click Update, and you will see on our blog, excuse me, that post is removed. Nowhere to be found. just in the news again is the most recent one. We come back here, we change it back to published. We refresh the page. You'll see the post is back. You're asking where we changed it to draft. So in your publish box, under status, there's published, and you can just click edit, and that will allow you to change it back to draft. If you have a multi-author blog and you're a manager, it could be set to pending review. For example, if you have 10 people writing for your website or your nonprofit, you could set them to a role which only allows them not to publish, but to set it to pending. They set something to pending, it sends you an email as the manager, and then you can publish it. Now, some of these boxes here might not be necessary. For example, let's say you never want to use tags. Up here in the screen options, drop down, you click this, and you could uncheck tags. And that makes that box go away. So if you don't see one of these boxes, you just come here and you click it, and it'll come back. So if you don't see publish, come here and make sure that your different, well, actually, publish will always be there. That's a bad example. But some of these other boxes, for example, like categories, you might not need. So you just click and it takes it away. And then you close that. There you go. So we've covered the title. We've covered the post box. We've covered publishing. Oh, there's one more thing to cover. Let's do visibility as public. We could change this. And we can basically what's called stick this to the front page. So no matter where we are, no matter how many posts we have after this, if we make this what's called a sticky post, it will make sure that this post stays on the top no matter what. You could do that by clicking sticky post. You can also password protect it, and we'll put a password here. So for example, we're just going to call this one password. I'm going to click OK. Now, obviously, that's a stupid password, but we're going to click update. Now we're going to view this post once it's done. Now, since I'm logged in, I'm able to see this post, but you'll notice it says over here protected. That lets us know it's a protected post behind a password. So you need to go in and enter the password. So we're going to put password in, hit submit, and it shows us the remaining content. So if you have a post that needs to be protected, or you're trying to run a member site, you can post some information behind that password protected area. If you have posts that are only for board members or only for certain people that you want to give a password out to, you can do that on a post level and protect that information. Okay, so back to the post area. You can also change the date of your post. So let's say you posted it now, but you want to say, oh, you know what, I really posted this a month ago. You can come in here and change that to February. Click OK, click Update, and we'll notice the post date change. There it is. And if we look at our general blog, you'll also notice it's not at the top anymore because now it was older. It's from February. It shows down further in the list. Peg, yes, I'll cover that very quickly. Okay, so one other thing in relating to sharing your posts. There's something called Jetpack, and this comes standard with WordPress, although you do have to add it. It is a plugin. So you'll go to the plugins area, and Jetpack may be there depending on how you installed WordPress. If not, you will click Plugin, Add New. You'll search for Jetpack in the search box. Click Search. And then you'll install it. You'll see here it's already installed. So we will actually go look at Jetpack. And Jetpack does something real cool for your posts. What it does is, on an individual post level, I'm just going to click a general post here. it adds these cool little sharing buttons to the bottom so you can share your post to all different social media streams. And it actually lets you publicize your posts on an individual level. So I'm just going to go to post here. We're going to edit this post. It puts this publicize here, and it allows us to post or publicize our posts automatically to Facebook and Twitter. It gives a custom Twitter message here along with an automatic short link to the post, and you can actually post it to Facebook as well, and then you can set it on how it's going to look with the Facebook post, and when you update your post or publish it, it will be posted or published to Facebook. So we can select these things and do it that way. And the way you set that is inside Jetpack, and this webinar is not to go through Jetpack, but I'm just showing you an example. There's a thing called Publicize. You would configure that, and then you would add your Twitter. It basically logs into your Twitter account, and it logs into your Facebook account. And once you do that, you hook up that login. When you're in your post view, you will see these options. Oops, sorry. You'll see these options to publicize your post, and that will do it automatically every time a post is made. So that's a great way to do that. Now, Peg is asking if you can publicize this via MailChimp, Constant Contact, some other, it looks like you're asking mostly about mail. That setting would be controlled inside your actual mail. They have something, most of the email programs have something called RSS to email or RSS to newsletter. You would take your RSS feed, and every time you add a new post, it's going to send out an automatic email newsletter of that post to your newsletter list. That's actually not controlled by WordPress. That's controlled by your email editor. The last thing I'm going to cover is adding images. So if we wanted to add an image at the top of our post, and let's say we were using a theme, and we're going to go back to one of these themes that does not use the featured image, like 2011. Oops, sorry. Okay, good. So if we look again at 2011, sorry, I'm bouncing around here, but if we look at 2011, we go to the blog and we go to in the news again. It takes our image, pops it up way up top. This is the featured image. It puts it up here, but it doesn't have any in the actual post itself. So if we go to in the news again and we wanted to add an image, see this featured image is what showed up in the actual post above the headline. That's how this theme works. But if we actually wanted to add an image, say at the top of the post itself, we would come to the very top of the post and we would click Add Media. And this taps into our media library. And you can add other images just by dragging and dropping them into here. Let's say we wanted this image. We click it. It's going to give us all the details of the image. It tells us the size, and this is a huge picture. It tells us the title. We could even add a caption. So for example, and then we can set the alignment. We want it to be aligned center, and then we could change the size here. So let's just make it large, 584. That'll cover pretty much our whole column. And then we click Insert into Post, and it puts it right there. And you can see there's the caption text that we added. You could also do small images. Let's use this picture of a guy who looks like Tom Cruise but is not. And we'll left align this, and we'll make it a small image, just a thumbnail, 150 by 150. And you'll see here we even have the ability to link these images. So we can click a custom URL. We could put in whatever website we wanted to go to, even another page in the site. We could click the media file itself, and you'll see what that does when I insert it into the post. And you'll see that floats it left. You can also, we'll add some more media here. Again, we'll do this one right. Instead of linking this, we'll do the attachment page. You'll see how that works. And we'll make this a thumbnail also, and we'll insert that into the post. That one is right. We're just going to make sure this is standard, and we'll click Update. Is everyone following along still? Beth is asking if Jetpack is set to publicize when it is published. Is it shared on Facebook every time you update the post? No. Whenever you publish something for the first time, those boxes will be checked. Your edit boxes here will be checked. And that tells you that it was posted. So when you come back into it for the second time, you would recheck them if you want to repost it on an update. You'll see here they're unchecked because it already knows this was posted already. So you would just recheck them if you wanted to repost it. So now we will look at this post since we put those pictures in there. You'll see it takes the featured image and pops that up top. Actually, before I do this, I'm just going to get rid of that featured image just to show you what it looks like without it. So it's a pretty big image that it serves up for us. So it just defaults to the standard images that this theme uses. And you'll see in the actual image itself, it puts our image up top that we put right into the post editor. It has our image on the left, our image on the right, just the way it looks like in the editor. Now here's where the different things work. If we click on this, when we selected it, we told it to show the image. So you click on this, it actually pops the image up in all its full glory. You click on this one, does the same thing, opens up the image. We told this one to open up what's called a media attachment page. So that's actually going to take the image and open it up inside of an actual page in your site. So rather than making it take up full screen on the person's browser, it just shows a larger image here. Now, we're going to get rid of this by just highlighting the image, clicking once, and you have these options. You can click this to change options about your image, advanced settings, things like that. Or you can click once and just hit that red X and it gets rid of it. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a gallery. You could do that by adding media, and we're going to select the images that we want. Oops, sorry, we'll click Shift, and we're going to select the images. You'll see checkboxes next to all of them, and it shows we have 6 images selected. We're going to come up here and we're going to say Create Gallery. Excuse me. Okay, now it's created a gallery. We have these images here that are selected. We're going to create new gallery. Now it just shows us the 6 images that we selected, and we have a choice to do different things with them here. Do we want them, when someone clicks on it, to link to the media file or to the attachment page? So we'll click attachment page. Do we want 2 columns, 3 columns, 1 column? Let's just click 2 columns. We'll leave the order that they're in. And when it pops up, we'll choose slideshow. Or actually, let's choose default for now. I'll show you the difference. Click Insert Gallery. And you're not actually going to see that gallery in the visual editor. It just looks like this, a little camera with an image. But we'll click Update. And we're going to look at this post. And you'll see here it formats it nicely for you. Excuse me. It takes you, and this was a really small image. That's why it's showing up like that. But you've got your images. And when you click on them, the default WordPress behavior is to take it picture and show it in its own page. So we click on any of these, it's going to pop it up in its own page. And we could change the way that behavior works. If we click on the gallery, we go to Edit, and we change the link up here, right? And we say link to the media file. That's actually going to pull up the actual file full screen. So we can leave attachment page. Now let's click slideshow. And we're going to click Update Gallery. And we're going to update this post. Once that updates, we'll refresh it here as well. Now it's going to change the way it looks a little bit. Turns it into a slideshow. And it'll work automatically, and you could pause it as well, or you can move through it. So different ways to add slideshows and galleries to your posts as well. So that pretty much covers everything that we need to cover here in terms of, I'm just going to leave this up where it is and answer any questions that you might have at this point. Any other questions relating to posts or navigating the post editor, doing different things with the post editor? Any other questions anyone has? I just have a few more slides to finish out the presentation, but that pretty much covers everything with the post editor. So I'll go back to our little presentation here. This should pop up on the screen. No other questions? Doesn't look like I'm getting anything. Okay. So there are a few things that you can do to make your site unique. And um, obviously you can do it yourself, DIY. You can buy a theme, like I was showing you there. Campaign theme was a theme that I purchased for use for a particular campaign. You can add different plugins, like I showed you. The Jetpack plugin allows you to automatically publicize your post to Facebook or Twitter. You could add stock images and media. Basically, you can do everything that you need to run your own site. And it's all handled within the post editor and the WordPress admin. Or you can not do it yourself, or don't do it yourself, DDIY, if there is such a thing, and have a developer handle it for you. And they could change the look of your site dramatically, change the way functionality works, change the way featured images work, change the way posts look. Beth was asking before about changing colors. You can hire a developer to do coding for you and really make your site unique. I'll show you a little bit of that as we move along. You could add content writers, people who just write for you, other consultants, things like that. Um, a lot of different things you can do. To give you a sense of WordPress's width in the internet world, they have more than 25,000 plugins, more than 500 million downloads of those plugins, more than 2,000 premium themes, and I'm sorry, more than 2,000 free themes. So you can go to that theme gallery and actually upload a new theme, many free themes to make your site look unique. And then you could buy one of thousands of premium themes, like I showed you on Theme Forest. Um, so that brings us to the end of the webinar. I put my contact information up here. If you have any questions at all, you could reach us on Twitter all day long. You could reach us on Facebook. You can call us, or you can hit us up on the website, send us a contact note, or give me a call. I try to make myself as available as possible in relation to these webinars. I will make this video, excuse me, sorry. I will make this video available along with the audio for people. We went about an hour and a half, which is a little longer than I wanted to, but I thought it was a pretty good webinar. So I hope you all appreciated this. If you have any more questions, you've got another minute or so, and I'll try to answer as many as I can. Peg, thank you. Appreciate the comment. Let's see. WordPress.org or WordPress.com. Okay, that's a great question, actually. I'm going to close this down. Oh, there's a little thank you note. I'm going to go back to the internet and show you the difference. If looks like a few people left, but a few people hanging on, you'll see the difference here between WordPress.org and WordPress.com. So WordPress.org and WordPress.com. Okay. WordPress.org is the organization that controls WordPress. This is where you actually download WordPress. And you download WordPress, that's called a self-hosted WordPress. That means you're maintaining WordPress itself. You have your own site, you can edit the code, do whatever you want with it, put up as many plugins and themes as you want, and it is completely free. You can do that at WordPress.org. That's all WordPress.org is. WordPress.com, however, gives you a WordPress website. This is called the hosted version of WordPress. And you can get started simply by creating a blog. You put your username, a password, you sign up, get started here, and you can get a free blog. The only downside is, it's not really a downside, but this is the free version, is you will be, let's say you want to do Joe Smith. It's joesmith.wordpress.com. You could order your own domain name through them, but they charge you for that. Now, so if you wanted to get started extremely cheaply with absolutely no code, you don't want to download WordPress yourself, you could do WordPress here. The downfall to using WordPress is that it's not hosted yourself. If something happens with WordPress down the road, they close down shop or they don't like your content, they can completely shut you down and take your content away. They don't have a record of doing that, but they could. They could even be sued by the government and asked to take down your content. So when you use WordPress.com, the content is not yours to keep. So there is a downside to using WordPress.com. if you go to WordPress.org and download it yourself, like what you see here, my site is self-hosted. I have access to all these things. I can change all these things with my site. I own my content. It lives on my server. I can do whatever I want with it. Not so with WordPress.com. You will be limited. You could only install a certain amount of themes. You could only install a certain kind of plugin. After that, you want to install premium plugins, they charge you for it. Premium themes, they charge you for it. You need bigger hosting, they charge you for it. Now, there's nothing wrong with being charged. What they charge you is actually pretty good, but you won't have that content. Now, for nonprofits, believe it or not, we actually do this. This is one of our missions. If you go to orgspring.org, we have the very same thing. We run a multi-site version of WordPress, just like WordPress itself. And you could actually get your own site. You click sign up, and you go through very much the same process that WordPress takes you through, although not as graphical. And you can even pick your own domain name. If you didn't want to use, you could use a free subdomain, completely free site, johnsmith.orgspring.org. Or if you already have a site, you can get a free WordPress powered site with ours. Just type in your address and you'll be able to do that. Or you can order a completely new site from us, johnsmith.org, and have a site on our server with your own domain name. And it takes you through the same process that WordPress does, except what we have is specialized for nonprofits. We offer fundraising plugins. We offer premium event templates, calendar templates, even themes like you saw with that campaign theme, you could do on our server exactly like you could do on WordPress.com, except we are made just for nonprofits. We have special templates that we use. We even have developer options with certain theme and plugin providers, and we give you thousands of dollars of plugins for free where WordPress would normally charge you. And that's just part of our mission. That's what we do. So I didn't want to turn this into a sales presentation, but it's an example of what can be done with WordPress for nonprofits. I'll give you an example actually of a client site running on this. This actually, they have their own custom domain name, but this site is running premium themes. It's a church in New Jersey. They're running premium themes on our WordPress setup. So they have posts, they even have an event calendar here. Just see up here, click on calendar, pops up a whole calendar. You can click on some of the information to read that. Gives information and a map. So this is one of the special plugins that we give out for free. We also hook them up with different ways that you can do donating. They haven't added that part to their site yet. But there are different ways to do donations, different ways to do, you can see here we did a different type of gallery. So that's another thing you could do and do it relatively cheaply. In most cases, you can do it free off of our server. So that pretty much brings us to the end. Any other questions that anyone has? I hope you enjoyed this. Everyone who attended, I obviously have your email from registration. I don't really use that as a marketing piece, but I will email you to let you know when the video and audio from this presentation and the slides have posted. If you have any questions in the meantime, just give me a buzz. One or two of you on the side have asked me to contact you separately, and I will do that in the next day or two. So really hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was helpful to you. We will be putting together some other webinars for the next couple months. We've been doing at least one a month, sometimes 2 or 3 a month. And I always ask my attendees if there are any topics that you want us to cover. These webinars are free. We could do as short or as long as you want. If you have any questions, shoot me a note. I could even do a webinar for you on the side. Or if you want us to cover an entire topic, send me a note and we'll try to cover a whole topic for you. We want to try to make using technology, particularly WordPress, as easy for nonprofits as possible. We really want to let you guys have the ability to achieve your mission using the web. We don't want it to be hard or a pain to update. We want it to be easy like it should be. So thank you all. Really appreciate your time. And I will touch base with those of you who asked me to touch base with you. Just make sure that I have your information. If you want to put your phone or your email inside the question box, that's private. Nobody else sees that. I will be happy to contact you outside of this webinar. Thank you again. Appreciate it. Good luck to everyone, and we will see you soon.